Hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the Swear Word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear, and hey, this is a podcast for the chili community, by the chili community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is a place for you. Up tonight, we have an amazing episode. We have a great guest, locked and loaded. Then we're going to be diving on into some, conversation on how he got started, the journey that is taking him. So, episode 157 starts now. What's going on, Swear Nation? So glad to have everyone here. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, and or Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for being here and continuing to make this podcast what it is. Now, up tonight, we have a great guest, locked and loaded. Now, we're going to be discussing different types of barbecue sauce, some spicy, some not. We have Dave from Torcatha here. Then we're going to be discussing everything from the first time of meeting him out at Zest Fest 2 years ago to the journey that has led him, all the way across different continents and everything behind the story, the reason, the passion, the drive, and so much more. So I cannot wait to dive on into that. There is no hot or not tonight. So just going to be jumping straight on over to the conversation. So let's go ahead and get that kicked off now. Hey, Dave, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, man? Good to be on.
Glad to have you here. Obviously, we had the pleasure of meeting, what was that, probably two Zest Fests ago now, and absolute blown away by your barbecue sauce and loved the overall passion and commitment that you had to it. So glad to have you here.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was to Zest Fest to go. It was my first big event ever, so it was really cool meeting you there. I'm glad we're finally able to get it together here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing I always like to start out with, which is the icebreaker. It's what got you into the world of hot, and what was that moment that you just decided, you know what, I'm going to start making my own spicy barbecue sauce?
Yeah, man. So that's like the big thing about like the history of our sauce is it's my dad's 40-year-old recipe that he's been making for the family forever, and then I've been doing it for the last 10 years or so, almost 12 years now, I guess, for the San Antonio Fire Department, where we cook dinner for each other, and I would make it for when I would cook, I would make it, and the guys would love it, and always asked me to bottle it. I kind of just pushed them off as whatever. And about 2 years ago, I decided it was time. Enough guys that I didn't even know were trying it and saying, "Hey, man, I don't even like barbecue sauce, but yours is like the perfect amount of heat. It's amazing. Like, I would buy it if you bottled it." So I was like, "Well, there's a demand for it. Everyone's told me they've loved it for years. So let me go ahead and start making it out of my kitchen." And then once that happened, it was off to the races, and it's just accelerated since then. And then we got our spicy version because I like it spicier, so that's how we kind of got a little bit hotter. But yeah, it was just kind of a family tradition. I took it over, and then something just clicked 2 years ago. Enough guys were demanding it, and now the world can see it.
No, that's awesome because I mean, think about like throughout history, how many companies, products in general, got started from a passed down family tradition like that, and it's just like finally being able to, because like that's a different approach, right? That's more heartfelt, thought out. Like you kind of you refined it over those years through generation and generation, right? And so that part really speaks volume whenever it comes time to actually releasing the product. And so that's super cool to hear.
Yeah, man. It's I know sometimes you'll hear, this is my granny's recipe, this is whoever's recipe, but this one's just like it's super special because it was my dad's recipe, and then like you said, I perfected it over the years through the firehouse where I was a rookie, and then I was an engineer, and now I'm a lieutenant. So it kind of plays into the history of everything. I really think that people resonate with that. Not only is it a generations old recipe, but we call it, forged in the fires of the firehouse. So it's got that whole aspect of everything. I remember even as a rookie, I would be making it, and the other rookies would be looking over my shoulder like pretending to write down the recipe. I'm like, no, don't. I'm gonna bottle this one day, and it was a joke. And now it's funny to look back, like it's legitimate now. So it's pretty funny how it worked out.
That is very cool. You know, that's one of the hardest things I feel like, just naturally, if you're creative or in the kitchen and you're trying out things, one of the hardest things starting out is always, and I've heard it as well from many others, is starting to write down the recipe, write down the portions, write down all these things. Because, you know, it's fun to get in there, mix some things up, try some things out, and then you're like, oh, that was actually really good. What did I do here?
Yeah, man, that was, and I would experiment with it because I would make it not just for the firehouse, but like I would have UFC fight nights at my house, and it was always requested, and I would adjust it, play with it depending on who was coming over, and sometimes they were like, "Man, you made that one super spicy, like we couldn't even barely handle it," or "Man, why wasn't it messing it?" So yeah, playing around with it, and then taking it from my kitchen, bottling it to being co-packed at a co-packer where we can get it out to actual retail, being able to go down to the gram of every single ingredient was mind blowing. And it took a long, long time to get my dad's actual recipe how I wanted it done for, mass production because I didn't realize how difficult that was going to be. I talked to one, two, probably five different co-packers about what I wanted, and they weren't even close on what I wanted. I finally settled on one. So that ingredient piece is massive, and now we're super excited that we have a spicy one and a mild one. So I've got to play with it a little bit even more, which is really really fun.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I guess something that you had just mentioned there that whether I guess others just really haven't wanted to talk about it or not, the overall journey of tracking down, understanding, being able to have that connection with a co-packer. That journey in itself is not an easy task. Someone may not fully care about the process to the extent they may just hand over the recipe and say, "Hey, can you get this done?" And they don't really check to see how much of a drastic change it's been from whenever they were making it versus when, someone else is rolling it out. And so that journey is an interesting one. And as I've started to really peel back the layers to that onion, it's always, it seems to be, as I guess really with much of life, anyways, you got those that are out there excelling and doing exactly what, you would expect of them and more. And then you got those that are just, barely hanging in, cutting all the corners they can just to roll it out as fast as they can in hopes to stack in more people. So, I guess as that journey kicked off, is everything like that you were looking at centralized to Texas, or were you looking outside of the state, or how was that journey for
Yeah,
you?
that's a great question, actually. And I totally agree with you that those standards matter, like having pride in what you do, having excellence. It's the whole like brand ethos that I've been building out for Torcatha as well. But staying on the co-packer, I initially started at one in Florida, I believe, and they could not. I even have up on my office desk here. I have all the different versions that I was sent. Like, look, I'll show you this one right here. Like, just to remember, where it all started. Like, this was a version that they made for me that wasn't even close, right? And they made their own little Torcatha logo on there for me. So, I mean, I'm glad that I went through all that to learn who I needed to eventually come to.
Hmm.
I'm glad I didn't get the Florida one. I'm glad, honestly, they didn't get it right because Go Texan has been a huge thing for me. And if it was made in Florida, I wouldn't have access to all the Go Texan stuff that I have, like discounted rodeos, the Mega Grant, all that stuff. So yes, I went through a few others, and a lot of them were too big for me. Like a lot of co-packers want to take your recipe, and then they're like, "It's going to be this much. We need this many pallets, this many months, the orders. You've got to come get it." And for startups trying to get into this arena, whether hot sauce, barbecue sauce, michelada mixes, whatever, like we don't have that much money to be, competing with these guys. Even the mid-level guys, like the amount that they want you for minimum order quantities was crazy. I was like, there's no way. So I found a smaller one in Utopia, New Canaan Farms, who have been absolutely amazing. Like I consider them all close friends now. Like Utopia is about 90 minutes west from where I live. So I can go order it, go pick it up from them easily. It's not all the way like in Houston where a lot of co-packers are. Small town, a couple other firefighters live there, so everybody knows everybody. They work with me so well. Like they nailed the recipe. They know how meticulous I am about the recipe. Like how you were talking, like it had to be perfect. I don't even know how many times we went through it. Like I mean, it needs this tweak, it needs that tweak, the label, it needs this tweak. But they eventually they nailed it. They nailed the spicy one. They just nailed our mild one, which is doing really well as well. So they are strictly. Um, I mean, we ship all over, right? But I'm glad I stayed with Texas, just for the Go Texan part. They're good, just really genuine people. Like we send each other Christmas cards now. Like it's just I'm so glad that I had to find my way through like Florida and then some other large ones. I had one even tell me, if you don't change your recipe to the first ingredient water, he's like, you will not make it in this industry. He's like, I'm just going to tell you right now, like, you're not going to survive. I'm like, that's your business model was telling me like I'm going to fail and you don't want my business. Like to me, it was crazy. And I have a notebook of everyone that has told me stuff like that, and they're in that list. So I'm like, well, now I'm, as we move forward, it's kind of one of those like kind of proved you wrong type of things. And I even had someone at the state fair turn over the ingredients, and they were like, "Man, I got to tell you, I'm happy to see the first ingredient in here is not water." Like literally, like I was like, "Well, that's hilarious," because a co-packer told me the only way I would be able to do this is if I did that. So the quality comes first. And co-packing, not everyone does it. Some people still bottle their own or they rent out a commercial kitchen. But for me, still full-time firefighting, I don't have time to do that. And I want to focus on being the face of the brand. So my co-packer handles that. My marketing handles this. And, I kind of have teams everywhere. And the one, New Canaan Farms, is absolutely amazing. I can't say enough good things about them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And something that you hit on perfectly there, that resonates very much with me. It's something that I keep trying to almost, it feels like now daily. It used to be weekly. I try to ingrain my kids this lesson that it's not always about the destination as much as it is about enjoying the journey. And whether that's, learning from something that's a headache along the way, it's still, when you look back at it, made you a better person or helped you guide you right where you want to be instead of worrying about chasing that end goal. Because the end goal, sure, is nice. We're all going to focus on it. It's always going to be there. But
Yes.
it's that next step and that learning process throughout there that really helps define who we are.
It really is, man. I'm glad you're passing that down to your boys, because I think that's, like you said, is massive. Just you have to go through those failures. If you listen to any high achieving athlete, business person, Kobe, Michael, I listen to a lot of David Goggins, Jocko, those type guys. They're like, man, like you have to enjoy the pain of like failure because there's no other way you're gonna learn. Like I've learned so much. Before this, I was looking at an application I did when I first started for, I think, Sprouts maybe. And it's hilarious how bad it was compared to the one I'm doing right now. Like, just completely shoddy. You learn. And if I hadn't gone through all these different, getting told no a million times and figuring out what works, what doesn't, you would still be there. So the journey is, I agree with you 100% on that. You have to have an end goal to shoot for. Otherwise, you're not going to take the journey, and you have to take those steps where a lot of people they're too scared to. But as you grow, that's where you learn and you look back on. You're like, wow, I have really come a long, long way, and that's really what matters. So I agree with you. I'm glad you're passing that down to a new generation. I think they need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think this is also a perfect chance, a little bit of a segue, but a perfect chance here to talk about not only the mental fortitude, the commitment and drive in that aspect, but, you're a very well built man. Obviously, you're doing your firefighter stuff, and but I've recently learned not too long ago that you also work out. Do you compete in like men's fitness as well, or what is that journey?
So I haven't competed since 2020. So I guess it's been about 5 years now. But I did competitive bodybuilding since I was 19. So I'm about to be 40, but I did it as a teen and a young adult. And then I took time off to go to college and then start my fire career and then picked it back up. And so, yes, it's not, there's a fitness category. I always competed in bodybuilding, or it's called classic physique, where they want a more classic look, where you're not just overly, just like a cartoon character. They want you to have nice lines and everything. And I always competed in drug-free organizations. Never wanted to do drugs. There's too many side effects that you hear. Even the guys that are doing, like Chris Bumstead now, he got out early because it's hard on your body. So I would be drug tested. We would take polygraph tests, and I was pretty successful. And I just have a good genetic makeup, and the mindset is honestly more important that I've taken now into this business, as well as I put into the fire department, of that end goal. Like, nothing is going to get in your way. That it taught me a ton of discipline, which is massive for literally that I'm finding out in everything in life. Like, I'm literally just took my mindset of bodybuilding and focused it onto this barbecue sauce, and it works. It works in whatever avenue of life you want to do, whether that be progressing through the fire department, owning a small business, bodybuilding. But yeah, I competed in over a dozen shows. I won 3 natural pro cards. I've won multiple pro bodybuilding shows, competed nationally. So I had a lot of success in bodybuilding, but it's taught me, like you said, the journey of that has translated well to my other areas of life. And I try to, I don't have any kids of my own, but I have young firefighters that I'm trying to help grow as well, or just anybody that come in contact with me. Like, they'll ask me just at shift change, hey, what vitamins should I take? I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight. So I guess I'm that guy, that, because I just make the decisions to eat certain things and not eat certain things because I feel better, alcohol, cut it out, that sort of stuff. But like I said, I hammer it home, the discipline. That's why it's one of the core tenets of my brand now. Strength, courage, discipline is like one of the most important things that anybody can have in their life. You'll achieve pretty much anything. If you listen to any of those high achievers, they're like, it's not because I'm special. It's not because anyone's so much better than anyone else. Yeah, there's outliers. It's someone that can just be disciplined and do the same boring thing over and over. And that's what bodybuilding is. It's eating the same boring thing over and over. It's doing the same workouts over and over. And then over the course of 15 weeks, you go from being, a little fluffy to shredded to the bone. And I didn't do it for a little plastic trophy. I was never going to make millions being a bodybuilder. I did it because I loved the struggle that it was to say no to everything and to really put in that effort. It's fun winning, of course, and competing on stage, but it's the benefit is what I gained in life from it.
Yes, absolutely. And something that you hit on, and I feel like for anyone that might be watching, listening, that they might be internally struggling with this. Now, being able to cut out alcohol, I know from like an earlier age, like you just turned 21, you're like, oh, my friends are drinking, I'm going to go drink and blah, blah, blah. And you kind of develop a stigma essentially as a young adolescent that if you're not drinking with your friends, then you're not having a fun time or whatever, the different iterations of ultimately the same end result. And so like that was something that I felt like for a while that was similar to what I was going through. And yeah, I ended up cutting alcohol out because I had heard it repeated over and over again. Like, you don't need this. It's not great for you. It's actually hurting your body, all this other stuff. Right. So then I cut it out for a good bit. I'll still have wine every once in a while now. Maybe I'll try a spicy beer if I see one, but I'm not actively like overindulging. I maybe have 2 times out of the year that I just relax with family and we just all drink and don't have any worries because we have nowhere else to go. Typically that's Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Of course, coming up, right?
Yeah. So, times that I'm already not focused on eating the most healthy, if you will, are both of those dates as well. And so that's kind of just the same mentality. But Yeah, 2014, I want to say it was, is I'd already ate typically healthier than the average, but 2014 I committed to that, and I really saw leaps and bounds, kind of like you were saying, staying consistent to knowing what you're eating, what's going in, what's coming out, all these other things really do add up. And to so much to the point where it was just a remarkable difference in my overall brain, body, functionality, everything. So it's super cool to see and to hear that. And as you were, doing the bodybuilding aspect, you're focusing on things. Where I was going at with this is like, from a macro standpoint, do you find that your barbecue sauce really lends itself well to be able to add flavor to a rather rigid, structured meal?
Yeah, it does. It's on the, I mean, it's not sugar free, right? But it's on the lower end of calories for a barbecue sauce, in my opinion. The mass produced ones, it's about 3 to 4 times less calories than that. So I'm a huge proponent in terms of tracking your macros. I count all of the calories, proteins, carbs, and fats. It has no fat in it, right? No protein, of course. So it's got a little bit of sugar in there. So if you are accurate with it and you use it by counting it, you can enhance the flavor of literally anything. I mean, I have people come up to the booth and like I've had competitors come up. They're like, I need something to enhance my chicken. All I'm eating is just chicken, broccoli, and rice. Typical bro meal, right? And I was like, I think it's 8 grams of carbs per 35 grams serving, 6 grams of sugars in it. So it's a good little pour of adding 8 carbs. And if you just add that in there, it's not going to kill you for the day. Like a one beer would be insanely worse than that,
Yeah.
right? So in my for even not for bodybuilding, I still count my macros, and it's all about balance. Whatever you can do, whatever you can maintain just for your goal to put on weight, to lose weight, whatever, and you can make stuff fit in there. I say go for it as long as you're being, the the more calorie dense foods are going to fill you up more, obviously, so you're not going to be hungry all the time. But if you want, like, I'll have like half of a cookie if I want one, and I'll count the calories in it. It'll be like 4 grams of fat, whatever. And then I mark it down, and the rest of the day it's omelets and chicken stuff. But I use it a lot. I tell people that all the time. I used it while I was during my last season where I did 5 shows, where I won a pro card and competed nationally twice. It wasn't called Torcatha at the time because I hadn't, designed the logo or anything yet, but I used it on everything. So it's lower than a lot of ones, but a lot of people have asked me for sugar-free ones, and maybe that is down the road at some point. But I think people sometimes don't realize when they come up to your booth how difficult it is to actually come out with a new product where I'm like, this is my dad's, my spicy one's mine. Now we have a mild, and they're like, well, what about this one? What about that one? It's like, give me a second to actually get something rolling here before we go down that sugar free. Also, it'll change the flavor of it. Let's be honest. Like if I took all the sugar out of it, it's not going to be that 40-year-old fire department tested sauce.
Hmm.
So if I want to do something else, I will. But I want to stay focused on this. One other thing I was going to tell you about alcohol. I've almost cut it out completely at this point. When I would do bodybuilding, it was gone, like day one, gone. When I read for promotional exams, which I am right now for captain, when I did for lieutenant, it's gone because you'll be shocked. You probably won't be because you obviously know now the brain fog you have just by having a beer or a glass of whatever. The next morning when I wake up to start reading, I couldn't focus. Like I was like, why am I having so much hard of a time reading, like a building construction book or a fire ops book? And then when I cut it out the next morning, sharp, had my cup of coffee, and I just hit the ground running. And I'm like, dude, I'm not like this is stupid. Like I'm not gonna waste, half the morning with my brain fog trying to kick in. And then when I did 75 hard earlier this year, part of it is no alcohol. And honestly, that was, I think, the final tipping point for me to, I'm like you, one, maybe if I'm out on a dinner with my wife or Thanksgiving, maybe,
Hmm.
but I just don't. like the way I feel the next day. And when I've got goals literally with this business, literally with studying for captain, like I don't have time for that. So if you are a high achiever and you've got goals and you're disciplined, like alcohol is probably not in the cards for you. Like if it is, I would try taking it out and see how much better you are at literally everything. And that's one thing everyone always tells me, man, I just can't cut out alcohol. It's just, if I cut out alcohol, I would, and I'm like, yeah, if you did, your calories would drop, your mental focus would go up, you'd be stronger. Like, it's just, but when I was 21, I drank a lot of beer too. So we, like you said, we all have to go through that journey of figuring out, what works for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was the mental breakthrough on that for me was whenever I did keto. It was a little over, golly, a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years worth, and not drinking that whole way, except for towards the end, whenever I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to jump off of it anyways. Like, I might as well enjoy myself. I started that last month budgeting my only carbs for the day being what I could intake in wine. And I was just like, whatever. We'll blow it on that. And it was, just as you were saying, going for like a little bit over a year and a half with not having that brain fog, that sluggishness, that just it almost is. And it sounds silly for anyone that hasn't, really cut things back off for a lengthy time, but you don't realize how much it really kind of slows down your mental processing, if you will. And so it's insane to think, because there will be days like you're saying, I'll have, one or two beers if I go to a dinner with some friends or whatever, and like next morning I can, before the night's even done, I can already tell I hate myself, and then
Mm-hmm.
I wake up in the morning and it's like tenfold. And so then it's just like, all right, I'm done with that for a while. And so, yeah, I know come Thanksgiving and Christmas, it will be the same thing. I'll wake up the next morning going, do I hate myself for food or the alcohol? What is it?
Yeah, that's my problem too. Is if I have a few, your inhibitions drop, right, and then all that food, you're just like, well, screw it, I'm gonna have it, and then that just compounds, and then you feel really bad the next day. But I'm like you. I mean, I'll enjoy the holidays with my friends and family, but the days of drinking so much that like I'm hungover the next day, that is completely gone. Like that will
Yep.
never happen, because that at this point it would take me like a whole week probably to recover from being hungover. So, but you're right though, because once you start drinking a little bit, you're like, macros, I don't really care for the rest of the night, and then you start eating the cookies and everything. But balance in life is what I say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just you got to enjoy your life too. You can't just be that, that rigid guy in the corner of Thanksgiving, which I've done bodybuilding, where you're just eating your, chicken and rice. And for a time that was fine, but it's different seasons of life. You got to pick what you're going to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, something that I guess we'll start first with the overall balance of being able to work at the fire department, do everything you need to there. You have your family life, you have the business life. Now, I know that this is a somewhat pretty normal thing that you'll see amongst other firefighters, that they'll have their own business out, all running parallel with what they're doing at the fire department. Still no small task to be able to accomplish. I don't know how you're able to do it other than just strict discipline to stay on track and on focus. But is that something that you do? I mean, obviously, I only know from those that I've talked to, and most of them are business owners. Is that commonplace to see other firefighters do, is start their own business?
Oh, it's if a firefighter doesn't have a side business, it's strange. Yeah, my wife laughs, because literally, if you need anything done, you look into your Rolodex of firemen, and you'll find someone who can do it. Like real estate is a big one, because you can do that during your downtime pretty easily. We have a lot of time off. Our schedule is 1 on, 2 off right now for San Antonio, so you get 2 full days off. You can do a lot of stuff, like a lot of welders. um, Not many CPG type guys, as far as I know. That's a little bit different. I think I kind of fell into it, right, because of the whole family thing. But no, firemen having side businesses. A lot of one guy left maybe 3 years ago because he started a barbecue food truck, and it took off so much that he was like, "I'm just going to go full time on it." And that's the hard part, I think, for a lot of guys. Some of them, I think, a lot of them just supplements their income. But if you're like super, if this is your thing, you have to make that choice at some point in your career if you're going to stay with the fire department and just have it, or if you're going to go full in on it. And that's kind of the balancing um, act of it. But it's not the easiest thing in the world. We do have a lot of time off, but if you're constantly working on it, those days go like that. So it's, like I said, it's a balancing act.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, Torcatha, the battle boar. Well, walk us through how you landed there. What was your choice on, just what's how did the brand come to be?
Yeah, so it's all family Scottish related, right? So we went to me and my she was my girlfriend at the time, and we got engaged in Scotland. And I while we were there, I got like this little family printout of the history of my family, McCulley. And the first sentence on it is comes from the Scottish name Culloch, which means boar. And so I was like, well, it's my dad's recipe. That's our family, what our family name means. Let me see what like the Scottish word for boar is. And then I found it, and it was torque. And I was like, well, let me look up torque. And there were some other companies that had called torque. So I was like, battle boar. Like that's the mindset of it. It's one, it's a spicier sauce. And two, the whole mindset that we've been talking about, I wanted that as part of the actual name of it. So I took two words, kata and torque, and put them together, dropped the C, and literally created a word, Torcatha, which means battle boar, to emphasize that grit, that perseverance, that you would think of a battle boar when it's charging, right? So created that name, and then everything just grew from it. I had the logo designed with the Celtic circle around it. The boar looks aggressive, right? All the names of the sauces are Scottish words. Spearshock means spicy. Cullochbeg, the new one, means little boar because it's the mild version. So everything is Scottish related because that's where my family is from. Right there's the logo right there. Um, and I wanted to emphasize, it's the label itself, the logo. It's not only that battle aspect, but it gives off this more gourmet luxury where it's not your typical barbecue sauce, right? Where it's kind of a little. Some of them are cartoony, or just a Texas logo or whatever. This one is extremely different, and you can tell that from some of the awards we've won. Our logo has won 3 awards, 3 first place for the logo. The label just won an award. So that's where Torcatha comes from. Some people, it's taking a little while to get people to understand what it is and how you pronounce it. Which that's something you don't realize when you're starting a brand. You might want to have a word that people easily they know what it is. Some people call it Torcatha when they first see it, and they think horchata. So I'm like, no, it actually means battle boar. But once I explain that story to people, they love it because of it's just the whole brand it's everything has a meaning, and I'm very specific on every little piece of the label, of the brand, of the logo, and I think that's why it'll be successful, and it is being successful right now.
Absolutely. And I think too, it's like there's other things in the one pops in my head because it's the one that I can never get a uniform answer across the board with everyone that I ask. But that Worcestershire, that's one of those words that it's like, okay, it's commonly it's a very common ingredient, right? But it is one of those that a lot of people struggle to say in general, but it's still wildly successful and used, right? So
Exactly. Exactly.
no
Yeah.
harm there.
hopefully in 10 years you'll hear it'll be a household name, and you'll hear Torcatha, and nobody will they still might mispronounce it, but everyone will know what it is, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I guess from that standpoint, we've talked about your initial journey into like a big event. Obviously, you're now in certain stores. What is your current mode of like, I guess, focus? Are you focused mostly on the e-commerce side? Are you focused on retail, like wholesale? Are you focused on global expansion? Where is this kind of journey taking you?
So all of the above on that. Direct to consumer is a big one right now. We're actually just about ready to relaunch the website. The one that you have is the new one is going to blow you away compared to this old one. It's part of the mega grant that I was awarded has been put to create the new website. So a lot of direct to consumer on there, doing the rodeos and the trade shows, the state fairs. Those are all big ones. Farmers markets, that grassroots where you have to be in front of people all the time. It's that boring part of the journey where you gotta. They say you gotta be in front of. You gotta show someone a brand 11 times before they even think about actually purchasing it. So getting that going. Um, Wholesale, we're in a couple of. We're Pullman Market in San Antonio is a huge account for us. They're a grocery here. They actually just won some Michelin stars for their restaurants that are inside of the Pullman, but they've been our biggest one. We do demos there. People love it. It's more of like there's a bunch of smaller brands there, but a lot of big brands too. So them, a couple barbecue, meat market type places. And we're working on some bigger wholesale to some bigger retail places right now. HEB, we did Quest for the Best. We didn't make the finalists. I think we were like the 16th out of like 1,600 brands, but they only take the top 10. So we didn't quite make HEB, but that has led us to another person, to another person, to another person, where we're making waves on that. So we haven't hit our 2-year mark yet. So I'm happy with how we're going. I talked to Costco last week. They need significantly more sales. Obviously, Costco is a bigger one. So I'm hoping we can eventually get there because I love Costco. But yeah, the direct to consumer is a big one, and hopefully we can get a couple more smaller, some larger maybe national chains here, and get the word out a little bit more. We don't want to grow too fast, because from what I've heard from other people that have come before me, sometimes you can get too quickly and say they put you in 30 stores nationally and you don't have the money to support those stores, and you sit on the shelf, nobody knows who you are, and then they kick you out, and then you're done, and maybe you owe them money back for slotting fees or whatever. So I'm trying to go, so that I can handle the amount of promotion that we need to actually have the sell through, right? And then the international one has been great too. We've been to France twice now as part of the gourmet selection, and they've had the sauce there on a couple other shows, Cial and Sierra Leone. So we're in a store in the south of France. I've shipped a pallet over there already, and they store in the south of France sells us. There's a restaurant down there that has us on a little brisket croissant, a beach restaurant. And we're talking to a butcher down there or a distributor who supplies over 2,000 butchers in France, soon to be 4,000 next year, which would be a huge order over there. She wants to do kind of a co-branding type thing with us. So barbecue is taking off over there. It's not like Texas where it's been for generations. Everyone, is taught how to barbecue. It's like when we go there, they are blown away by where in Texas you may get, I make my own barbecue sauce, or you don't need barbecue sauce, blah, blah, blah. Over there, they're like, this is the best thing I've ever had. Like, I love this. Like, we need to get this. So the reaction over there has been great. It's crazy that we're actually sold over there and we're on a menu, and hopefully going to be putting quite a few more over there. So it's just, like you said, on my off days or, with certain downtime at the end of the night, like I'm just seeing who wants to listen to me, who wants to try it. If they try it, they love it. And then getting the logistics done. It's still just me, literally me running everything. I have a market guy, and then I have another guy in Indiana. But as far as like reaching out to people and handling the spreadsheets and all that. It's a one man show right now, so it's a lot.
I definitely understand that. I can already envision you sitting there at the table ready to go, and it's like you're answering the phone. Hey, do you have a second to talk about this? And then you're really quickly switch over to a different hat. They come back as the different side of the business. It
That's
is.
it. Where
It's
it
the
all.
grind.
Yep.
But okay. Well, that is super cool to see, to hear, to watch the expansion really happen. Like I started off mentioning, being able to bump into you at Zest Fest 2 years ago to now, it is mind blowing. I knew that what I had tasted was amazing, and obviously that's why I ran back over there, grabbed some, and we ended up having this whole thing continue on and kick off here. I love what you're doing. I love the growth. I love everything that you've been able to. Very controlled effort on that, because yes, like you're saying, you could grow and sure you can roll out all this stuff that would be what a passerby might say that they want to see, or you have a handful of other people over here that are saying maybe they want to see something else, but at the end of it all, that is great to hear the demand, but you got to focus on what drives the business forward and what is keeping everything on track in order to start to be able to add those other possibilities down the line. And so I think you're doing a phenomenal job with that.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. It's one thing I found from a lot of people that have done it and people like that don't necessarily even care if I'm successful or not. It's just like, kind of bigwigs for maybe Cisco or somebody will randomly show up to my booth at Pullman Market or something. And one thing a lot of them tell me that they think is big that I didn't think getting into this was the backstory of the brand. Like they're like buyers, buyers of like, larger companies, like they are looking for that, something that separates you from just some main corporation that is just going to spit out a sauce and, here's our watered down sauce, which that has a place too, the $2.99 shelf dude. But I made a decision early on that I wasn't in a race to the bottom, as I call it, like to the cheapest. So we are a higher end sauce because that story resonates with so many people. The luxury look of the bottle, it's glass, it's large, it's it's different. It's a different Scottish. It's the family recipe. I'm a firefighter. I work on it at the firehouse. This sort of thing, and that resonates. For people maybe thinking about starting a business or whatever. Really think about what your brand means, because people really want to know about that, and they'll buy it because of that. And that's why everything that I've done for it has initially started like that, and now I really am all in on the story, on the marketing brand material, the little pitch deck that I made that shows everything that we have. It starts with like the 40 recipe, the firefighting aspect of it. I got even down to, this doesn't have to do with the sauce itself, but I'm so ingrained in the Scotland part of it. I got engaged there and we eloped there as well. So like Scotland is my life. It's my business. It's where I got married, everything. So if you can like live the brand, not just here's whatever. I didn't believe it initially, but it makes a massive difference. Like people want to support that. So that's one big thing I've learned along the way for sure.
Absolutely. Those, founder stories, those backstories like that definitely are very widely seeked out these days, if you will, in the sense of very much like you were saying, so many are tired of just buying into the same company that you don't know is the same company until you actually do your research and find out that they own 20 other
For
different
real.
things.
Dude, for
So.
real.
So, no, that makes perfect sense. I did want to ask, because I almost forgot about it. France, what of your lineup are they most like seeking out? Or I guess maybe more the restaurant. Are they using your spicy? Are they using
Yeah.
your original?
The restaurant is using the spicy one on their croissant brisket sandwich. It's actually my latest blog post on my website. You can I talk about it and have a picture of it on there. But it's like chives, brisket pieces, the sauce, and then like a croissant on top of it. But they don't think the spicy is too hot for them down there. I mean, but everyone has different palates, obviously, and we just yeah, that's it right there on their beach menu. It actually looks pretty good. Like I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
mind trying that. But we debuted the mild there actually for the first time. It just so happened that it was ready in France, and they loved that one too. It's a little bit sweeter than the other two, just because there's a little less pepper in it. Another thing, like we were talking about, that you don't realize when you start tinkering with the recipes. I thought it was just going to be the same exact flavor with just less heat, but because you take it out, the sweetness bumps up even more. Same thing happened with the spicy one that I didn't expect. With more of a certain pepper that we increased in it, it caused the front end of it to be sweeter than the original, where the original is more of like a black pepper vinegar. This one
Hmm.
starts off sweet, and then the heat comes at the tail end. All this stuff you have no idea until you start tinkering with it. But yeah, France, they're just fans. They're fans of it, man. Like, and one thing over there is they are brutally honest. Like they're known for telling you what they think, and they're not being mean. It's just how they are. Like Americans, in comparison, some will try to you know worry about your feelings, and it's try to tiptoe around it. In France, they straight up tell you, "I don't like this. Oh, that's terrible," or for me, the opposite reaction. Literally every single person at the booth is, man, this is amazing. We want this here. This is so good. We love barbecue, blah, blah, blah. There's actually a huge barbecue show in March that I may be going back to that's getting set up right now in France. So we'll see about that. But yeah, man, it's the way I'm trying to catch that wave over there in France with the barbecue taking off.
I like it. Sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a great opportunity that you've already got a nice foot in the door. So, looking forward to watching that growth. I do have a very fun game that still keeps on track with what we're talking. So, let's go ahead and kick it on over there.
Cool.
All right. Well, here we go. We have keep five, cut five. And, well, of course, you got the sauce. So we now have to, of course, have your game catered towards you. This could be more your personal preference, right?
Okay.
So the way this works, I will read it off for those that are just audio only listening with the respective numbers. And then you would either choose to keep or cut first. And then the best way about this is to alternate. So if you do a keep first, then you're going to do a cut next, and then a keep and then cut, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So up first, well, we're going to start to break these down a little bit to a finer detail. Do you prefer number one, which is a gas grill, or number two, a charcoal grill, number three, a traditional smoker, log smoker, or do you enjoy the number four, which is the electric smoker, or do you like number five, which is the set it and forget it Traeger, or do you and then here's where it starts to add in a different layer of the game. Now you have up the options of meat. So number six would be beef or steak or anything like that. Number seven is just to represent chicken. It doesn't have to be chicken breast, but just chicken. Number eight is fish. Number nine is to represent pork. And then number 10, well, I had to slide this one in there. So you had to eat up a keep, which is
Yeah.
your sauces.
Of course, man. Those are some tough choices on the meats. I'm not gonna lie, but okay. So we're doing a keep and then a cut back to
Yep.
back. Okay. So obviously 10. We're gonna keep it right.
Yep. I don't know
Easy.
why you wouldn't.
Right. So cut. I don't know if I've actually ever used the electric number 4. So go ahead and cut that. I don't think I'm ever gonna use that.
I've used one before, and I would never recommend anyone ever doing it again. It was my father-in-law. He used one, and then I've used one from someone else. They're great for like cold smoking, like cheeses and things like that, but not great for about anything else, in my
No,
opinion.
I wouldn't think so. It looks kind of like a dehydrator that I've seen where you put meat in there to make jerky,
Hmm.
but I would not use that. So, okay, let's do. We will keep steak, man. Like I wouldn't be able to live without it. I'll tell you this though, when I did carnivore, I did get tired of steak. Like I was over it. I was eating 2 ribeyes a day, and I was done. Like chewing that much steak. I literally took like 3 months off. So I love it now. I made some ribs last night with the mild. So, but I love me a good ribeye. Yeah, they're amazing. So definitely keep that. Um, Electric. You got to get rid of it. I've used it, but there's so many better options.
All right. Well,
Or
the
gas. I'm sorry. Gas.
oh, gas. All right.
Get rid of
Got it.
gas.
No worries. Yeah, gas is that convenient one. It's not the worst option, but it's more there for the convenience aspect.
Yes. I would use it. I used to have one. I sold it, but it was exactly that. If I just wanted to make a quick chicken breast or whatever, throw it on there, you're good to go. You don't get any smoke flavor though. Like
Hmm.
I need smoke now. So yeah, that one's gone. So we will, let's see.
So remaining, you have charcoal grill at number 2. You have number 3, which is the traditional wood smoker. Number 5 is the Traeger. Number 7 is chicken. Number 8 is fish. Number 9 is pork.
So we got to keep one of these grills, right? The traditional smoker is what I was raised on. It's how my dad taught me how to barbecue. So I still have the one that he taught me on my back porch next to my pellet grill. So we will keep number 3 because you can't beat it, honestly. Like
Absolutely.
it's the best way to do it. Let's be honest.
Yep. I still have one of my. I think I got this smoker whenever I was 12, and it's still with me. So
Yeah,
like this thing's been through everything. It's
I,
sturdy
I
and
love.
heavy.
Yeah, exactly. I think mine is a Oklahoma Joe, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've used it because it does take a good amount to do it when you have a pellet grill.
Hmm.
It's pretty easy. It's the cheat code for sure.
Yep.
Okay, so we got to get rid of one. I'm gonna get rid of chicken, even though I know I talked about chicken broccoli rice all day. There's too many better proteins. Even though chicken breast, if you're trying to be good on your diet, like we talked about earlier, it's about as good as it gets.
Absolutely.
Let's keep pork because torcatha and pork are literally hand in hand the best. You make a pork one, you do pork ribs. Pulled pork is literally what I serve when we do demos. Uh, Cannot be beat. Like hands down, the best sauce you can have for pork. So gotta have it, right?
Absolutely. All right.
And
Well, we got a
okay,
cut next,
what do we have left? We got Traeger, we got Weber,
and then we
and
have fish.
so 2 of these got to go. Let's We will get rid of the Weber, even though that's another one that I was trained on, and you can cook a lot of good stuff on it. It's just not big enough
Hmm.
when you're trying to cook for a bunch of people. We'll say that, right?
Absolutely.
And then, oof, I use a pellet grill a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but a good steelhead trout barbecued over some cherry wood chips. That's you can't beat it, man. So let's keep the fish, and we'll say our last but not least is the pellet grill right there. Be a true barbecue, right?
Absolutely. Well, that was keep 5, cut 5. It's the winners here. We have the log smoker, the traditional log smoker. We have beef, we have fish and pork, and of course, you can't forget the sauce to make everything come together. So I like it. I like the lineup. I see the envision here, and I think that was an overall very nice way for that game to play out. What did you think of it?
I liked it. It makes sense, right? I got one grill, I got 3 proteins, and award-winning sauce. What else do you need, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think
That's
that very well encompasses everything that you could possibly need in life.
Exactly. See, I'm always you gotta always be thinking about stuff. The details matter.
Absolutely. Well, I know that you sprinkled in quite a few nuggets of knowledge throughout this episode, but here is your chance if you have anything that you specifically want to point out for anyone that is, you know, maybe they are, maybe, I guess we'll cater it in this way. Say someone has a family, it doesn't have to be a recipe, but like something that has been passed down from, generation to generation that they feel confident about, but haven't taken that next step. What would your nugget of knowledge be for them?
So, a couple things that I've learned and read about is one, don't get trapped in that analysis by paralysis. It's a cliche, but man, I had that problem a long time ago with certain things, and you'll stay in it forever. Like if you have an idea or you want to do something, overthinking it is probably the number one reason why people, they fail because they don't even get started. And even if people tell you, it's a pipe dream, it's super competitive, blah, 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 like the fact that you just took those steps, you're already ahead of 95% of the people who are too scared or they just don't have the time or they don't want to. If you listen to certain podcasters who they've gotten successful, they'll tell you everybody at the beginning, even at the top, nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just trying to figure it out. And these are multi-million billionaires that are like when you start, you don't know what you're doing. Now you can do a bunch of research, ask people that have gone before you, that are coming back for assistance. That's a huge thing that I do. Like if I see somebody asking for help, but once you're and I over analyze everything anyway. So once I hit that 80-85% of I think I'm pretty good to go on this, just jump in and then you figure it out as you go. And you're gonna make a mistake and you try not to make a mistake that would end everything. So you gotta be, cautious. But the whole entrepreneur mindset is a game of risk, and we're willing to take that risk for that growth we talked about and that end goal. So the big nuggets that we talked about earlier, you got to have discipline. You got to be okay doing the boring things. For me, I've got to be okay spending my weekends doing shows where other people might want to be drinking alcohol or watching football. Or to me, I would rather grow my life, my personal business, than watch another millionaire make millions. Good for him. He did it. But I'm not going to waste my time doing that. You know what I mean? So take that first step. That's the hardest part. Make sure your idea is good. Don't just say, oh, I think it's good. Let's just, let me put in 75,000, 100,000 of my own dollars to start this. And, there's no proof that it's going to work. But once you get enough information, 80-85%, just go for it and figure it out along the way, and don't look back. And that's what I've done. I can't, after we talked about bodybuilding, like I can't not do anything full bore for lack of a better word. Because it's like, why? I have a hard time like playing a pickup basketball game because I want to win. You know what I mean? And it's going to get physical in there. So if I'm not going to win, I'm not going to attempt it. So once you have that mindset, everything is mindset, in my opinion. That's one big thing I've learned over the last couple of years is look at it in your mind's eye, manifest it, put what you want, and then just keep working towards it. And then I saw something this morning where they're like, where a lot of entrepreneurs fail is they have that initial spark, and then maybe they have enough confidence to do it, and they're like, all right, man, you did it. You made that jump that 90% don't, and then you get into that grind. And you could say there's new stuff happening all the time, but I am in that grind aspect right now of this business where it can be boring. Every Saturday we have this, and then it's just this, and then we're just trying to get new customers. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm not seeing any results." Like the results come down the road. You know what I mean? 10 years down the road, it takes a long time to build something. So if you're not okay with delayed gratification and hustling your butt off and all these things that I think have been lost maybe on a generation that is, very quick TikTok. They need instant gratification. You're gonna have a hard time. So get that mind right. Once you're ready to go for it, and then just grind it out. That's why I made, again, where I told you everything is thought about. One reason is my family motto, Vi et Animo, means strength and courage. So it was already built into my family. But the other pillar that I added into my company is discipline. So strength, right? To actually, the courage to jump off and actually do it. Having the strength to bring everything together and work that hard, and then that discipline to keep it going until you're done, is why I think all three of those are good for everyone in whatever you're doing in life. I know that was more than a few nuggets, but I'm big on all that stuff. As a leader in the fire department, I try to tell my guys that, and then it works. Like you just got to put in the work that some people just don't, but those who do, as Dana White says a lot, he goes, if you're a savage in this day and age, you're going to destroy literally everyone else, because everyone else is just soft TikTok generation. So if you have that mentality, you will destroy everyone else. So I would highly recommend, mindset, 80%, jump in, and then grind it out.
Absolutely. Amazing nugget of knowledge there. Definitely one that could easily be applied to just about anyone that is wanting to commit. So I definitely love that. Thank you so much for that nugget of knowledge. Next part here, well, this is a hot seat nomination. This is someone that you think would make a great guest for the show.
So a guy that I met in Amarillo, and then we met him again in the state fair. KC from Momo's Micheladas. Same mindset. He's grinding it out. He's got an employee with him. They won, I think, best at the state fair at the award dinner for the thing. His wife is Momo. It's him and her running it together. They've been doing it for about 5 years, I think, out of Austin. Super nice guy, freaking great mindset. His product is amazing. It's a different take on micheladas. It's not like a spicy thing, like a spicy sauce or anything like that. So it's a little bit different than what you would see at the Zest Fest. But check them out, Momo's Micheladas.
All right. Well, I'll be setting up a time to have Momo's Micheladas on. Thank you so much for that nomination. The last part here is greatly beneficial, once again, for those audio-only listeners. Where can they find you? How can they find you? And any announcements you want to make?
So the website is, the new one's about to launch, but it's pretty simple, torcatha.com, Torcatha. The socials are Torcatha BBQ. That's our Instagram and TikTok, I believe. So you can find us there. Mostly I post on Instagram and Facebook, wherever we are, for the farmers markets and that sort of thing. So big news for us. We just found out this 2026 Scovies, they just awarded, it's the 30th year anniversary. We took home 7 awards this year. So, excuse me.
Congratulations.
Super proud of those. The big ones that I love to win are like for the brand, because we talked a lot about that today. So our brand won best logo for the whole show. Our new Cullet Beg label won best label for the whole show. And then I submitted all 3 labels, the red, green, and the white, as the family or the product line, and we won second in that. So I call it the Battle Board Legacy, because it's my dad's, mine, and then my mom's is the mild one. So, and then we won a handful of wing sauce, barbecue sauce ones. So we're at over 25 awards in under 2 years. So that's our big news today. Super stoked that we got a few more, but go check it out on torcatha.com. And we should be having some little Christmas specials coming up here. Some we call it the Battle Boar bundle box. So keep an eye out for some Christmas deals coming.
Awesome. Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on. It has been an absolute pleasure. Obviously, there's still so much more we can dive into, whether we're talking about the sauce and your overall growth of the company and just I already see it. It's going to be this time next year, and you've already just taken off even more global expansion. So would love to have you back on and obviously dive a little bit deeper.
That'd be great, man. I'd love to do it. This has been awesome, man. I appreciate you, and it's been awesome.
Dave, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on, learning about Torcatha. If you'd like to keep up with Torcatha, I'll have all the links down below, the link to the main site, the link to the socials, all the ways that you can get your hands on this amazing barbecue sauce. Highly recommend checking out the spicy. And I also use the original version itself for all those family members that don't like quite that much spice. It's a great balance, a great barbecue sauce. So highly recommend checking that one on out. Also, shout out for those that have just recently found the podcast, all the way to those that have been rocking since day one. Thank you all so much for making this podcast what it is. Don't forget, new episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central. This is the place where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. Now, we do have open sponsorship opportunity available. So if you're wanting to sponsor the podcast, have a featured segment, have a sponsored section, highly recommend reaching out via the website. That is theswearword.net, or reach out on socials and we can get that conversation started. Quick shout out for our current sponsors, podvision.io. If you're looking to grow your brand, start your brand, hit a bump in the road, you're trying to figure things out, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all of those needs, as well as webdx.one. Maybe you have an online site, maybe you had a guy at one point and lost contact, maybe just never got around to building one. Highly recommend checking out webdx.one. Best of all, they get it done simple, fast, and easy. And best of all, you get to focus on what you do best while they get you looking great online. I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.